Today on the newscast, Israeli airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. Plus, why is the UN standing by with a resolution that would blame Israel for all this violence? Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, welcome to the newscast. We've got some breaking news for you. Israeli airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. This all comes as Iran is preparing a major response, after hundreds upon hundreds of Iranian missiles slammed into Israel last night. We're going to break it down in a minute, and also talk about the UN's role in all of this and how they are now trying to shift the blame for this horrific terrorist attack on Israel. That's coming up. Before I get into it real quick, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please be sure to do so and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We're bringing you the kind of content you won't get it anywhere else. So we would love to have you here as subscribers. Okay, let's get into it. Last night, Wednesday, October 2023, hundreds of Iranian missiles rained down onto Israel. We mentioned at the top, one of them struck Soroka Hospital in Beersheba. Now, there were patients in that hospital who were injured. We're talking about dozens upon dozens of Iranian missiles. Again, according to Israeli officials, more than 400, and some reports say that number could even reach 600. These are the kinds of numbers that we have unseen since the Yom Kippur War of 1973, when thousands and thousands of missiles, rockets, and artillery shells rained down on Israel from Syria and Egypt. That was the last time Israel was hit by a large-scale surprise attack, and what we saw last night was a large-scale surprise attack by the Iranian regime and its proxies. Now, obviously, Israel responded. They responded today with airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. Now, those airstrikes caused a fire at one of Iran's main nuclear facilities. Now, according to Iranian state TV, again, the fire broke out at the Fordo nuclear facility. They said it was caused by an electrical problem, but folks, we don't buy that story for a second. The timing is just too perfect. You've got Israel striking Iran's nuclear facilities right now. Iran saying, oh, it was just an electrical fire. Not so sure about that. We know that Fordo nuclear facility is an underground site. It was built deep inside a mountain. Remember, that is where Iran was enriching uranium to 60% at that facility. That is a major red line for the Iranian regime. Enriching uranium to 60% is a step away from weapons-grade uranium, which is 90%. That's the threshold. And when you enrich uranium to 90%, you can break out and build a bomb pretty quickly. Also, that Fordo nuclear facility was housing advanced centrifuge P-28 IRM centrifuges, the most advanced centrifuges that Iran has. They were using them at Fordo, which means Iran was using Fordo for advanced nuclear research and development. Not a good look for the Iranian regime to have their nuclear facilities set ablaze. Now, it looks like Israel did it. It was no accident. Now, again, the Iranian regime, always the master of deception. They're not going to come out and admit that Israel struck them because that is a confession of sorts. It's sort of admitting that they have nuclear facilities, which they continue to deny they've had any type of nuclear weapons program. And they're not going to come out and say, yes, we had advanced centrifuges at that Fordo facility, and we were enriching uranium to 60%. No, they will never admit that. They will blame it on something else. Maybe it was an electrical fire, or maybe it was some other accident. They will never admit that Israel was behind today's strike. But folks, there is more to come. We know that Israel, especially in the wake of this Hamas-Iranian onslaught, Israel has vowed to unleash hell on Iran. They're calling this a war between the Iranian regime and the state of Israel. Israel knows that the war that they re-engaged in right now with Hamas is a proxy war with Iran. This is Iran's proxy, Hamas. So Israel says we're going to go after Iran. It's been pretty serious. Statements from Israeli leaders. Now, it was reported earlier today that Israel is preparing a ground assault inside of Gaza. That hasn't happened yet, but they may be preparing the ground, so to speak, for that, because they're going after Hamas. But they know Hamas couldn't have done this without the Iranian regime supplying the rockets, the funding, training, planning, and carrying out the attacks alongside Palestinian Islamic Jihad, another Iranian proxy, and other terror groups in Gaza. So this is a war that Israel is waging against Iran's proxies in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. But again, Iran's nuclear program is a huge red line for Israel. If Iran ever breaks out and builds a bomb, it could spell the end of Israel. They will not allow that to happen. So attacking Iran's nuclear facilities is a major red line as well. So folks, I wouldn't be surprised if we see further Israeli strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. We could also see, and this is just speculation, Israeli strikes against Iran's ballistic missile factories and depots. Ballistic missile factories and depots would be another target. Of course, you've got Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps, the Quds Force, that elite terror vanguard of the Iranian regime that is directing all of these attacks against Israel. There are multiple fronts where Israel could strike, whether it's in Iraq, where the Iranian regime also has a presence, whether it's in Syria or inside Iran itself, whether it's against Iran's naval assets in the Persian Gulf. Israel has many options on the table. And again, remember, It's not only that Iran is supplying Hamas with rockets and funding and training, but it's the Iranian regime's intent to wipe Israel off the map. In the words of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, that is Iran's ultimate goal, to wipe Israel off the map. So Israel says, look, we don't want to hear any more about this Iranian Holocaust plan. We're acting preemptively. As Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, said earlier today, this is a defensive war. Israel is acting in some. Iran has left no doubt that they wanted to destroy Israel. So Israel is acting to defend itself and its citizens. We could see more escalations. Folks, I really believe that we are entering a season of increasing tensions in the Middle East. You have this Hamas-Iranian assault against Israel. You have Israel vowing to respond very strongly against Iran. You have Russia moving closer to the Syrian side of things. And then you have the United States trying to play mediator. I think it's a losing proposition, but you have the US getting involved. You have the UN Security Council convening emergency meetings, and what is the UN pushing right now? A resolution that blames Israel for all of this? Look, the UN cannot bring peace to the Middle East. The UN cannot stop Iran from sponsoring terrorism. The UN cannot stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. If anything, the UN, especially the current makeup of the UN, the likes of which we have not seen in decades, seems to be going in the exact opposite direction. It is the UN Security Council, which has been embarrassing itself lately, but this is just the latest example. It is the UN Security Council that is pushing a resolution that places the blame squarely on Israel for all of this violence. Folks, I'll keep you posted if that resolution passes. More than likely it will. But I am not even sure that the UN Security Council resolution is enough for the Iranian regime and its proxies. They are looking for a full-scale war with Israel. They want to drag Israel into a regional war. We'll see if they get that. But as things stand right now, Israel has struck Iran's nuclear facilities. Do you think that the Iranian regime is going to take this lying down? Let me know what you think in the comments. We're talking about a major escalation here. Could we see Iran strike back at Israel's nuclear facilities? What does Iran do next? I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video informative, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Until tomorrow, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for new episodes every weekday.